A thunderstorm watch has been issued for the city of Calgary tonight. This steady rain we've been receiving can be a downer for some. The driver of this car having a very bad Monday. The vehicle was swamped right up to the roof in the northeast before crews were able to haul it out. There is some good news, though. Sunshine is in the forecast. Danielle has those details for us. Here's what else is making news tonight. An arrest is made after a deadly hit and run on Siksika Nation.
No one deserves to die like that. No one ever deserves to get taken and left like that.
2 men killed, a woman critically injured, a family devastated. Plus, a shocking act of vandalism caught on video.
Damaged the entire hood. It's going to need a replacement, and then just jumped up and down on my sunroof.
Victims, including a city councillor, say public mischief is out of control. And a Calgary woman fighting charges for failing a breathalyzer test.
I have never taken a drink in my life.
She temporarily lost her license and her vehicle, but says there's a simple explanation.
CTV Calgary, local breaking news with Tara Nelson.
Hello and thank you for joining us. Family are speaking out after a deadly crash on Siksika Nation Saturday night. 2 men were killed. A woman is in hospital recovering, while 2 others are just thankful to be alive tonight. Tyson Fedor is at the Foothills Medical Center. And Tyson, what is the family telling you about this terrible incident?
Tara, they call it senseless, but the victims are saying it was a purposeful attack that has now changed the lives of several families on the Siksika Nation. And Sade Pantherbone witnessed this incident Saturday evening, and she says her family was targeted. Now, the 27-year-old Trayton Running Bird and 45-year-old Clifton Saddleback were killed after being mowed down by a dark gray pickup truck around 9:30 Saturday night. Emmeline Turning Rope is in critical condition here at Foothills Hospital, undergoing several surgeries after suffering dozens of broken bones. Pantherbone was in a relationship with Running Bird. Panthерbone's friend, along with her mother and Saddleback, were all out for a walk along a gravel road when she says that they were all targeted by a group of people that they had an altercation with earlier in the evening. Pantherbone says there were at least 3 people inside the vehicle before it fled the scene. Today, they laid some flowers down at the site and are seeking justice for their family members.
Someone was watching us because I was beside my mom, and her boyfriend, and my friend was beside my husband, and I don't know how we did not, because they intentionally drove off the road and they were trying to hit all 5 of us. And me and my friends were the safest ones, and it was just so traumatic to see them like that.
RCMP do say that 1 person is in custody. The truck has also been recovered. Mounties are also asking anyone that was in the area at the time of this incident between the hours of 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock Saturday evening, if you have any video or dash cam footage, to contact Mounties or Crime Stoppers. Tara?
Okay, Tyson Fedor reporting. Tyson, thank you. The Calgary man who killed 2 Calgary sex workers 14 years apart was sentenced to life in prison today. Christopher Ward Dunlop was convicted of first-degree murder in the stabbing death of a woman in a Calgary park 3 years after he was released from prison for killing another woman in the same park. As Terry Fikowski reports, the mother of the first victim believes her daughter's killer should never have been out on jail in the first place.
I wanted to be here to see justice served.
16 years after her daughter was found dead in a Calgary park, the man who killed her, Christopher Dunlop, was sentenced to life in prison for killing another woman on Monday. On February 15, 2023, 58-year-old Judy Mars, a mother and grandmother, was captured on video leaving her apartment and traveling to Forest Lawn, where it's believed 51-year-old Dunlop picked her up for sex. The next morning, her body was found stabbed more than 70 times and lit on fire in Deerfoot Athletic Park. The killing came 3 years after Dunlop served roughly half of a 13-year sentence for manslaughter for strangling Laura Ferlin at the same park and dumping her body in Fish Creek Park in 2009.
He should never have gotten out that much time off for time served. You want to commit a crime, come to Canada. If he had served his full sentence, this lady might still be alive today.
First-degree murder comes with an automatic life sentence in Canada with no chance of parole for 25 years, making Dunlop around 74 years old when he'll be be eligible to apply for parole. In sentencing, Justin Colin Feasby said he struggled to put into words something that appropriately expresses the heinous nature of this crime and addressed Dunlop saying, "I don't know how you make peace with yourself, but you're going to have a long time to do that." Both victims worked in the sex trade, and advocates say their deaths reflect how these workers are especially vulnerable to violence.
Perpetrators like this target sex workers specifically because they assume they aren't important or they don't matter. They assume that law enforcement won't put extra effort into solving it.
Dunlop didn't show emotion in court and declined to speak. Catherine Ferlin is hopeful it's the last she'll hear of him.
I'm just glad this is over. I can put this behind me. But I made a promise to myself that I was going to advocate for my daughter till the end. And this is the end.
Terry joins us from the court center tonight. Terry, Dunlop was also given 5 years for causing an indignity to Mars's body.
Tara, that is a maximum sentence for that conviction in Canada and will be served concurrently, which means that Dunlop will serve those 5 years at the same time that he's serving his sentence for murder. And while it doesn't change the parole eligibility, the Crown says that Judy Mars was deprived of her dignity in death and that this sentence, the additional sentence, will be reflected in his records. Tara, Dunlop's lawyers say that it is too early to say whether or not he will appeal his conviction.
Okay, Terry Fikowski at the courthouse. Terry, thank you. A video posted to social media shows a man stomping on several vehicles in southeast Calgary. People who had their vehicle vandalized, including a Calgary City Councillor, say incidents like this are happening far too often with little being done. Jordan Canagan reports.
It's a shocking video showing windshields shattered and dented. A post on social media captures the moment a man vandalized several vehicles in the East Village Friday night.
Windshields, not too much, a few $100s, the top of the cab. The tonneau cover, we'll see, but it doesn't take long to get to a few $1,000s.
City Councillor Dan McLean's truck was one of at least 5 vehicles damaged.
Like, this has happened to me, as people know, more than once, but it's all Calgarians. I mean, they are dealing with this on a daily basis, walking around, you're looking over your shoulder if you're personally threatened.
Sharon Wynn's Mercedes was also stomped on.
Jumped from the truck bed of this truck behind me onto my car, damaged the entire hood. It's going to need a replacement, and then just jumped up and down on my sunroof, and it's now not aligned and went onto the next vehicle.
Wynn is an East Village small business owner and says similar incidents are all too common.
Every other week, I feel like I'm trying to call police or call the non-emergency line because it's ongoing. It's constant harassment. It's just so disappointing because as business owners, we feel very helpless in this situation.
A man now faces 5 counts of mischief to a motor vehicle and 1 count each of causing a disturbance and intoxication. The suspect has since been released from custody.
You see it all the time. They don't even arrest half the people anymore because they know they're just going to be right out the door in hours or the next day.
We try to get support. We don't really see much being done. There were promises that this would be like a very, this neighborhood would thrive, and we're not really seeing that.
And Jordan joins us from the East Village tonight. Jordan, what happens now?
Well, Tara, both McLean and Wynn are now speaking with insurance to try to get those repairs and figure out what is and isn't covered. As you can see behind me, McLean's truck is still here. He's still waiting for it to be towed away for those repairs. The windshield's so damaged he could not drive it safely. A 21-year-old Braden Lassise is the man who is facing 7 charges in relation to this incident. He is no longer in custody, but he is due back in court next month. Tara?
Thank you, Jordan. Calgary police are investigating a stabbing this morning near the Chinook LRT station. Officers were called to 61st Ave Southwest around 8 a.m., which is a pretty busy corridor during the morning commute. The victim was taken to hospital in stable condition. 1 person was arrested. An 18-year-old Winnipeg woman faces several charges after a significant drug seizure at the Calgary International Airport. It happened last month while Canada Border Services agents were inspecting luggage and came across a questionable piece of baggage destined for Japan. They found 30 kilos of meth inside. Marianne Lee faces charges of drug possession and trafficking. A police officer shot a man outside an RCMP detachment near Edmonton today. Mounties say the man walked into the Sherwood Park Station's parking lot armed with what appeared to be a gun. The man was rushed to hospital. There is no word on his condition. This is the third shooting involving Alberta RCMP in the past 10 days. Alberta Health Services is expanding its investigation into the Saskatoon berry farm, now looking at a longer time frame when people may have gotten sick. AHS is looking into hundreds of reports of illness linked to anyone eating or drinking at the farm between July 1st and 16th. Now that has expanded to July 18th, and people who don't have symptoms are getting tested too. AHS says 3 people have been hospitalized. Lab tests found 26 cases of E. coli, 9 of a parasitic infection, and now cases of norovirus and rotavirus as well. It is not clear whether those common gastrointestinal viruses are linked to the farm.
You're watching CTV News, Calgary.
Heavy rains soaked Calgary Sunday night into Monday morning, causing flooding and traffic headaches. Now everyone from golfers to gardeners is looking forward to the return of the sunshine. Here's Kevin Green.
A giant puddle on 36th Street Northeast swallowed a car Monday morning, fully submerging it. Fire crews stood by for more than an hour until a tow truck arrived to pull it free. On John Laurie Boulevard, crews frantically cleared a clogged drain as traffic spilled back onto McKnight. And in Confederation Park, a flooded parking lot drew onlookers.
Where'd everything go if it's all underwater? I was just surprised to see it that full of water and it's not going anywhere.
And on Calgary golf courses, the rain turned sand traps into water hazards, and rain-soaked fairways created another type of problem.
It's wet. There's a lot of water going around the ball. You see lots of water coming off the spin as you're going down the fairway. Yeah, it's wet.
Yeah. How many strokes did it add to your game?
A lot.
While it's been tough on drivers and duffers, gardeners have been hit too. Mildew and slugs, and especially mushrooms, are thriving. Gardening experts say there's little you can do about it.
There is nothing we can do about them.
Colin Hales says that's okay, though, because mushrooms are actually breaking down the soil and doing good things underneath it.
As they're breaking it down, they're now feeding what they call the mycelium network, and that's leaching out all of this good stuff all through your garden.
And while the rain has soaked tens of centimeters into the soil, it's not enough to relieve the long-term shortage of water.
It will take more than just a few weeks of rain to move out of the long-term hydrological drought.
Hydrologist John Pomeroy says the Bow River has bounced back somewhat, but the Old Man still lags behind.
Simply, we're still seeing the after effect of that dry winter and spring.
And Kevin joins us from Bowness Park tonight. Kevin, the river is running noticeably high tonight.
It is very high for this time of year. Just over an hour ago, it was running at about 200 cubic meters per second, which is quite substantially higher than it is normally at this time of year. The fire department is warning people who might be around the edges of the river to exercise caution, and they're really telling people who might hit the river on a raft or a canoe later in the week when it warms up to be extra careful, because the river won't go down as fast as the temperatures go up, and it could be unsafe on the water if they're not careful.
Good advice. Okay, Kevin, thank you. Cardston was hit by hail last night. Look at this video. It looks like it was the middle of winter there. There are reports of tennis ball size hailstones in some areas. Streets were covered, trees were shredded, and some crops were damaged too. Let's bring Danielle in now. All this rain. It's not going to be the rainiest July ever, but we're kind of getting close.
We are getting closer, aren't we? So at this point, we're the 5th wettest July on record in Calgary, and we'll likely make it, by the time this month is all said and done, we'll likely make it to either 4th place or even 3rd place. I'll show you the numbers here. This is the record wettest month, 245.4 millimeters in 1927. But when we look at the 1961, 153, so this is first place here, second, third, 153.7 millimeters, which is a lot, but it's not that far away from where we're at. And this is actually taken in the morning. So this is where we're at right now. You could say 139.6, but we're looking at adding at least 10 to 15 millimeters to that number by the time this is said and done. So we have thunderstorms tracking towards the Cochrane area. There is hail associated with this one, ping pong ball size hail, and towards Claresholm down through even Fort Macleod, there's some cells developing. This is providing hail as well. So I'm going to keep you posted on this because this is that larger size hail too. Tara, it's an active day. More details coming up.
Thank you, Danielle. Elections Canada has adapted the ballot for the Battle River Crowfoot by-election. With more than 200 people running, voters will now have to write in the name of the person they're voting for. And will Canada recognize Palestinian statehood now that France says it will? We're back in about 1 minute. And if you have a news tip anytime, you can text us at 10400. Some spectators got quite a fright during an air show over a beach in Spain Sunday. This video shows a fighter jet that appears to fly directly toward a beach packed with people. The pilot then regained control and flew clear of the beachgoers. The number of candidates running in the Alberta riding where Pierre Poilievre hopes to win in next month's by-election has broken a record. Today's the final day to submit nominations, and there are more than 200 people running against him. CTV's Kathy Lee has more on what Elections Canada is doing to avoid a massive ballot.
Elections Canada has listed 209 confirmed candidates in the rural Alberta riding of Battle River Crowfoot as of Monday morning, only 7 of whom have political party affiliations, while the majority who've signed up to run are listed as independents. This riding has been targeted by the advocacy group The Longest Ballot Committee, which also ran a campaign in Pierre Poilievre's former riding during the April general election when he lost, where the ballot had 91 candidates. The group is protesting against the first-past-the-post system.
We're looking more at how to make candidacies fairer, how to make votes more representative of what people want, and maybe also having more voices heard.
The Battle River Crowfoot riding was held by Damien Couric, who stepped down so that Poilievre could run to replace him. The Conservative leader, who is looking to restore his position in the House of Commons, says the long list of names flooding the ballot is an abuse of democracy. And last week, the federal party wrote a letter to the government House leader asking the Liberals to pass a law with stricter rules for federal ballot sheets.
It prevents or makes it difficult for credible candidates to get attention. I don't think it's going to make the point that the people behind it want to.
Elections Canada says that given the unusually high number of candidates, it has created an adapted ballot where electors can write the name of the candidate they are voting for instead of marking a blank circle next to the name. The by-election is on August 18th. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
The pay range for the top administrative position with the City of Calgary has jumped significantly since last year. David Duckworth is Calgary's current Chief Administrative Officer. The CAO pay band increased nearly 50% on the minimum side and 36% on the maximum side. Last year, Duckworth's salary before benefits reached $460,000. The new minimum salary is just under $400,000. The new maximum is $475,000. Though Council does not direct CAO operations, it does hire for the position and vote on salary adjustments.
Anytime you are doing performance management, it happens in closed session. There is discussion of our employees' performance, and then there's discussion about where the pay grade should be set. I think those conversations do need to be confidential. That's how every employer deals with their employees. But I think any matters of compensation when it comes to our Chief Administrative Officer, those things should be released publicly as soon as possible.
There is a notice of motion expected tomorrow to disclose this salary sooner rather than several months later.
This is CTV News, Calgary.
Let's bring Danielle back in now. So more rain on the way tonight, but it gets better. The week's not bad.
Yeah, we need to focus on that because we definitely need our vitamin D, and we're going to get it. There's some in the forecast. Bright, hot days. I know, it seems almost crazy that that's in our forecast. Okay, in the yellow, severe thunderstorm watch in place for much of southern Alberta, as you can see here. And then we have the warnings in place closer to the Claresholm area, closer to the Cochrane area. I'm going to show you these cells. This is a look at all the thunderstorm activity happening on the BC side, tracking over, and it's gaining some steam too as it gets onto our side of the Rockies. So this is a very active, unstable day, and that's why some of these cells are really reaching that larger threshold of severe thunderstorm activity with that larger size hail, those stronger wind gusts. I'm going to zoom into a couple places. I'm going to pop out the lightning so you can see these cells, because this is the one of note right now. There's one just to the west of Claresholm here. It looks like it's starting to track further south, so towards the southeast. So Claresholm down through Grantham, this is where we're looking at getting that. We've already had one push through, but this is packed with some larger size hail, absolutely. So heads up there. These cells are dying out closer to Diamond Valley and Okotoks at this point, so it doesn't look like there's hail associated with these ones, but certainly big downpours, lots of lightning. And then tracking towards the Cochrane area, we're looking at this cell, which is producing some hail, likely ping pong ball size hail, could even be larger. We may even see some of this activity in Calgary, but likely it will die out a bit before it hits Calgary, and will be mainly rainfall and lightning in the Calgary area, but still the potential of hail in all communities, especially along QE2 and Highway 2, right up until midnight tonight. And then things quiet down. 17, our little daytime high today, well below the normal of 24, but closer to that in Lethbridge and Medicine Hat, where they got into the 20s today and are currently sitting at around 23. Okay, so fast forward through the overnight hours. Again, 9:30, even around the midnight hour, we have potential for thunderstorm activity along QE2, Highway 2. And then in the overnight hours, that thunderstorm potential passes in through the Lethbridge over to Medicine Hat area. Then it quiets down. Ridge of high pressure builds in, gives us stability, gives us sunshine for tomorrow. There will be a couple pockets that will start to develop and gain some steam, but there's not enough in place for that to happen. So we may see some isolated showers late in the day, but it's a very small chance of that anyway. Okay, here's your Action Furnace 5-day forecast. Tomorrow, a high of 23, and what? A little bit of sunshine. Sun and cloud for tomorrow. There may be some fog patches in the morning. Small chance of a supper time shower, but just a 30% chance, nothing to worry about. Mid-20s for Wednesday, high 20s for Thursday. Tara.
Thank you, Danielle. More Liberal MPs are calling on Canada to officially recognize Palestinian statehood after French President Emmanuel Macron announced his country's plans to do so later this fall. It comes as the White House is taking a stronger stance on humanitarian conditions in Gaza, pushing back against Israel's assertion that starvation is not occurring. CTV's Colton Prale reports.
Je vous remercie.
At a special United Nations meeting focused on a two-state solution in the Middle East, Anita Anand reinforced the country's long-standing position.
Canada believes a two-state solution remains the only viable path to lasting peace for both Palestinians and Israelis.
When asked today whether Canada would join countries like France in plans to officially recognize a Palestinian state, the Prime Minister didn't directly answer the question. It comes as the Liberal leader is facing increasing calls to do so from members of his own party.
Finally taking the critical step towards realizing a two-state solution to peace in the Middle East, recognizing a free and independent state of Palestine.
Sunday, BC MP Will Greaves joining social media calls from fellow Liberal MPs Salma Zahid and Fares Al-Soud to recognize a Palestinian state. Meanwhile, as humanitarian aid trickles back into Gaza, Donald Trump is pushing back on the Israeli assertion that starvation was not occurring in the enclave.
Food, we can save a lot of people. I mean, some of those kids that's real starvation stuff. I see it. And you can't fake that.
The Prime Minister says Canada has trucks of aid at the Jordanian border, pre-positioned to enter Gaza, but that had been prevented from doing so. He added that he'll take steps to advance a two-state solution, but one that doesn't include any element of Hamas and Palestinian leadership. Colton Prale, CTV News, Ottawa.
A Ukrainian-born Canadian has completed his journey from Calgary to Banff for a cause close to his heart. Alexander Kianitsa made it to Banff yesterday, completing his 200-kilometer walk through the Rockies to raise funds for field hospitals in Ukraine. The project, called Gift of Walking, has already raised more than $24 grand, with a goal now of $30,000. The funds raised will go directly toward purchasing life-saving supplies for mobile field hospitals operating in Ukraine's most affected areas. Still to come, she says she's never had a drop of alcohol in her life, and yet she was charged after police say she couldn't provide a breathalyzer sample. We'll explain. And later, would you be skeptical if you got a phone call saying you hit the lottery jackpot? He was. Turns out it was all true. Stay with us. A Calgary woman who says she was unable to provide a breathalyzer sample due to an injury is facing a failure to comply charge. She says she has actually never consumed alcohol in her life due to religious reasons. She's now fighting the charge with proof of her sobriety, but it isn't easy. Tyler Barrow explains.
Pamela Custa is getting used to biking, but not because it's summer. Early in the spring, she was served with a failure to comply charge and lost driving privileges.
Scariest day I have ever had in my whole life.
On April 24th at 11:30 a.m., she was pulled over for speeding near 114th Avenue and Stony Trail Southeast. It was then she was asked to provide a breathalyzer sample. An earlier fall left her ribs injured, but she didn't think much of it until this. According to the officer's notes, she tried 30 times but was unsuccessful.
I felt every time I was able to just get a good blow in or a good breath in, he would yank it out.
The officer charged her with failure to comply under the Highway Traffic Act. Her license was suspended for 90 days while her vehicle was impounded at a cost of $1,600. Now, her insurance will no longer cover her and she needs a blower device added to her vehicle, and she has to take the Planning Ahead course from the Alberta Motor Association.
Being treated like I'm a drunk driver.
For LaCusta, that's what's especially humiliating. As a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, she says she hasn't had an alcoholic drink in her life. Just hours after she was charged, she got allowed to conduct a urine test verifying she was sober. The Safe Roads Committee still upheld the charge.
I do not wish this on anyone.
By June, she went to a doctor and discovered 2 fractured ribs. By then, it was too late to fight the charge on a medical condition. That's why people need to seek legal advice immediately, according to one expert.
The process is that you can have a hearing in which you can provide evidence of a reasonable excuse. She failed to do that.
LaCusta did, but says the lawyer didn't recommend the medical exam. In response to the incident, the Ministry of Justice says there are instances where people have difficulty providing a breath sample, adding individuals who believe they are medically unable to provide a sample are encouraged to seek medical evaluation, particularly pulmonary function testing, that may help clarify their circumstances in any legal or administrative process that follows. Tyler Barrow, CTV News, Calgary.
LaCusta does plan to keep fighting the charge, but her court date is not scheduled until September 2026. Alberta recorded 36 new measles cases over the weekend, including 5 here in Calgary. Alberta Health Services issued a public alert for possible measles exposure in Calgary. Someone who was infectious was at Pinnacle Medical Center's Crowfoot last Wednesday. The alert is also for South Block Barbecue and Brewing in the Mission area last Monday. Anyone at those locations is asked to monitor for symptoms. Well, surfing isn't exactly reserved for those on 2 legs. We've seen dogs ride the waves before, but never 10 at a time. Our trending videos are next. Talk about a pleasant surprise. A 26-year-old Toronto man is millions of dollars richer after winning the lottery. And he found out while he was at work. He got a call from the Ontario Lottery and Gaming spokesperson telling him to check his email.
When I logged in and saw the 60 million number, I couldn't believe it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I see it. The big win? 60 million?
I was just staring at it in shock. My hand, my feet all went numb.
That's right. Bo Chiang Mai won $60 million in the May 7th draw. He says he was skeptical when he answered the call. It was from an unknown number. He says the first people he told were his parents, letting them know they could retire. Bo Chiang already has some plans for the new fortune, including continuing his education, traveling, and buying a house in Toronto.
60 million.
I think your body would go numb if you were in shock like that.
You can buy a country.
Yeah, practically. Well, watching pro surfers is a popular pastime in San Diego. I think you could argue these guys qualify. 10 dogs on a surfboard at the same time riding the waves. I mean, they obviously know what they're doing.
Yeah, more than us.
Yeah. This is called Dog Beach, so maybe this isn't that unusual. Maybe they all ride surfboards there.
Is that an extra large surfboard too?
It's extra long for sure, yes.
That's so cute.
It's measured by dogs, so there's like a 3-dog and a 5-dog and then a 10-dog.
And you know they're enjoying it because they would just jump off if they didn't. So.
Absolutely.
Cool. Nice day at the beach.
Well, as we know, dogs can be fierce protectors, but I think this one misunderstood the assignment. Yeah, those decoy tennis balls, they're not going to break his concentration. He is intent on protecting the family from the mail.
That mail
is necessary.
I mean, sometimes there's bills in it.
If you could train him just to eat the bills, that would be good. I think it might be time for them to get a mailbox.
I agree.
I mean, the poor mailman. That's not good.
The poor mailman, and they're never getting their mail.
Well, we know kids learn by example, and they will copy all of your habits.
Limpa o óculos.
Oh my goodness.
Is that not the sweetest thing? So his dad wears glasses. He wanted to wear glasses like his dad. These ones don't have any lenses in them, but he was just playing. But he knew just what to do. When you take them off, you got to give him a little rub, even if you're not wearing a shirt.
Who needs a shirt when you got the baby belly tub? Look how cute.
That's adorable. Still to come, Donald Trump's trade deadline is this Friday. So what should Canadians expect when the U.S. president is already suggesting some tariffs are likely? That's next.
Okay, here's your Skywatch camera, and we have rain in parts of the city, and we have what may be some decent thunderstorm activity tracking towards the city as well, headed towards Cochrane at the moment. It may die out before it gets here, but it may not. 17 degrees is the current temperature. Today's daytime high also 17, which is far below the record or the normal of 24 degrees. So we are below normal. We'll get to more normal temperatures tomorrow. We'll get some sunshine tomorrow, some vitamin D, which we really do need considering it's been such a rainy month. But until we get there, active weather, and this is active weather to absolutely take seriously. So in the yellow, severe thunderstorm watch in place, and there are some key areas of note where we're looking at more severe storms, meaning that larger size hail and those stronger wind gusts and the bigger downpours. So here's all the lightning associated with all of these cells. I'm going to pop out the lightning and zoom around here so you can see. So this is the cell right now producing some decent size hail, at least ping pong ball size hail, if not greater, and that's tracking towards the Granham area. So mostly south of Clare's home towards the QE2 there. What's headed towards Cochrane, this line of storms, this is coming with some very strong wind gusts because of line of storms here. Also some pockets of hail in this, tracking towards the Cochrane area. So if you can get your car indoors and yourself, certainly, or car in the garage, this the day to do that. Also, it may arrive in Calgary and even produce some hail in Calgary. That is the potential. Here's your Action Furnace 24-hour forecast. Action Furnace fixed right or it's free. There is the potential of showers and thunderstorm activity right up until about midnight tonight. Then that should quiet down. Fog patches developing overnight into early tomorrow morning, but a mainly sunny day for tomorrow. 23 degrees is our high, so a much brighter day than what we've had. 33 in Salmon Arm, 36 in Kamloops. This ridge of high pressure really building in. 26 for Edmonton, and it looks stable and dry for the most part for tomorrow for all these communities, getting into those high 20s for the Medicine Hat area. Tara?
Thank you, Danielle. Police say a person is now in custody after a deadly hit and run this weekend. 2 men were killed. A woman is in hospital recovering. Police say they were run down by a pickup truck on the Siksika Nation on Saturday. They say the driver took off. Christopher Ward Dunlop was sentenced today to life in prison. He was convicted for the murder of Judy Mars. The mother of 2 was found dead at Deerfoot Athletic Park in 2023. And police have charged a man after video circulated online of someone vandalizing vehicles in the East Village. There was considerable damage to several vehicles. The countdown is on as Canada seeks to reach a trade agreement with the United States before President Trump's August 1st deadline. The threat of tariffs as high as 50% are just a few days away as Ottawa works to get a deal done. CTV's Abigail Beeman has more.
Canada's Prime Minister and the American President were both visiting islands and talking trade. Donald Trump in Scotland musing about baseline world tariffs.
I just want to be nice. I would say in the range of 15 to 20%.
The negotiations are at a intense phase. It's a complex negotiation.
While on Prince Edward Island, Mark Carney repeated in French that a deal with no tariffs is unlikely.
We're standing up for Canada, Canadian interests. Of course, the United States is looking out, the President's looking out for the interests of American workers. There is a landing zone that's possible, but we have to get there.
There appears to be a backing away from the tariff for tariff, elbows up sort of combative tone.
Former Foreign Affairs Minister Peter MacKay feels we may not get the kind of deal we want.
Donald Trump has really had his way with many countries, and they are coming to heel and rolling around like kittens on a couch.
While Ontario's premier still hopes Canada is treated differently.
A tariff on Canadians is a tax on Americans. Prices will go up.
It's not the kind of recession-inducing shock that 25% on literally everything would have been.
This University of Calgary economist says a 15% baseline tariff on non-CUSMA compliant goods would still be a net negative for the Canadian economy. But it's important to focus on the bigger picture, what happens with CUSMA down the line.
That's a much more important potential shock to the economy than a 15% baseline with an exemption for trade agreement compliant exports.
Trump's trade deal deadline is Friday, with the Prime Minister saying Canada is still engaged in negotiations. Mark Carney stressing Canada is also already a big investor in the United States as we watch other countries sign deals that require major financial commitments. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Analysts are weighing in ahead of this Wednesday's interest rate decision from the Bank of Canada. Economists polled by Reuters think the central bank will hold its benchmark rate steady at 2.75%. They point to the recent rise in inflation and a slight fall in unemployment for their reasoning. Analysts have also pointed to a lack of clarity around the impact of U.S. tariffs, especially as those trade talks with Canada come down to Friday's deadline. The Prime Minister made an announcement today that could help boost interprovincial trade. Here's BNN Bloomberg's Morella Fernandez.
Tolls to Cross Confederation Bridge are being slashed. The bridge links PEI to New Brunswick. The Prime Minister announced that as of August 1st, the cost to cross will drop from over $50 to $20. Transport trucks will pay a flat $20 rate. The cost of some ferry services in Eastern Canada will also drop. The PEI Premier says he's been pushing for this for months, adding it will make life on the island much more affordable. Here's how the trading day ended. The Canadian dollar is down today to $72.80. West Texas Intermediate is up $1.55 to $66.71. Our fix on Western Canadian Select has it down almost $3 to $50.72. And the TSX dropped 88 points to 27,405. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
Canadian swimming superstar Summer McIntosh continues to find success in the pool, winning her second gold at the World Aquatic Championships in Singapore.
And Summer McIntosh is going to win it, and win it very, very well. It's Walsh in second place. McIntosh takes another gold medal for Canada.
The 18-year-old Toronto native won the 200-meter individual medley. She finished about a second slower than her own world record, which was set at the Canadian trials earlier this year. McIntosh has already won gold in the 400-meter freestyle and is trying to win 5 golds at the World Aquatic Championships. Michael Phelps is the only person who has ever accomplished that feat. Calgary's Ben Putt has won the gold, once again crowned Canada's best barista. He co-owns Monogram Coffee and competed in the Canadian Championships this weekend in Edmonton. The field started out with 18 competitors. It narrowed down to 6 finalists. Each barista had to impress the panel of judges with ingredients, taste, and technique. This is the 7th time Putt has won the championship. He will represent Canada at the World Barista Championships this fall. There is good news and bad news when it comes to auto thefts. Nationally, numbers are down, but don't expect your insurance rates to come down now, too. We'll tell you why after a quick break. Fans of Ozzy Osbourne have been streaming his hits in the days following his death, which has sent one of his albums rocketing back up the charts. The heavy metal icon's 2003 compilation, The Essential Ozzy Osbourne, has hit number 7 on the Billboard Top 100. That marks his 10th album to reach the top 10. Osbourne, who had been battling Parkinson's disease, died last week at the age of 76. There is some good news when it comes to auto thefts in this country. A new report finds there's been a sharp decrease in the number of stolen cars and trucks. But the authors are warning owners not to let their guard down. Here's John Vandalism.
Despite the improving numbers, on average nationwide, a vehicle is stolen every 10 minutes.
It's all a big shock, to be honest. I kind of feel violated.
Ryan Tostick of Milton, Ontario, is filling out insurance forms after his beloved 2004 Chevy Silverado was swiped from a repair shop just over a week ago. The thief was caught on surveillance cameras. Tostick says his truck had a new engine and says he'd never had anything stolen from him in his life.
Just, yeah, crazy to see what kind of value just is gone within minutes.
But compared to the same period in 2024, in the first half of this year, auto thefts were down 19% nationally, plunging almost 26% in Ontario, while Western and Atlantic Canada saw 9% declines.
I do caution that even though the numbers are still going down, they're still high, and it doesn't mean that we need to take our foot off the gas.
The report says better public awareness and collaborative efforts by governments and law enforcement agencies appear to be making a difference. Noting during the pandemic, auto thefts rose when the supply chain for new cars was disrupted, peaking in the first half of 2023 at 34,000 and declining ever since. Still, experts note there's been a shift towards stolen vehicles being sent to chop shops.
What's old is new again. Chop shops are having a surgence where they're stealing vehicles and selling it part by part, not only domestically but internationally.
According to the report, more stolen vehicles are being found. 56% were recovered in the first half of this year versus 53% last year.
Personally, I'd like to have the vehicle back. I'm not hopeful, but I'm trying to be hopeful.
And if you're wondering if insurance rates might come down because of fewer thefts, the Insurance Bureau of Canada says thefts still remain above historical levels, adding repair and vehicle replacement costs have also been on the rise. John Vandalism, CTV News, Toronto.
All right, final word goes to you, Danielle. There's some rain coming still tonight.
Yeah, we're not done with the rain for tonight. Up until midnight in the city, rain and thunderstorms possible. However, ridge of high pressure builds in tomorrow. A mix of sun and clouds. We should get enough sunshine tomorrow to get us up to 23 degrees, which is a departure from the 17 high we had today. There will be fog patches here and there, and there's a small chance of an isolated shower late in the day. But most likely what we're just looking at is the sunshine with some cloudy periods. Mid-20s for Wednesday, 27 by Thursday and Friday, and enjoy it. Enjoy the sunshine and the heat we get, because next week looks, again, like we're going to drop down to the somewhat cooler temperatures, and it may be a little rainy as well. Okay, weather window brought to you by Lux Windows and Doors, crafting quality windows and doors for your style, budget, and Alberta's climate. Marlene Mitchell sent this in, and this is just a stunning day. She says she thought the clouds were going to part, but then no, they had different plans here, as you can see.
Thanks for your company tonight. Have a great evening. We'll see you again tomorrow.